This video, I'll show you how to create named functions in Google Sheets. So the essence of that is you might want to hide some formulas away from probably the end users of your document. So this particular document I have is an expense or finance tracker that I'm creating to sell as a digital product. So I don't want users to have access or even to see the formulas or be able to edit. So I've done some other things to make sure that does not happen. But then I just want some kind of cleaner work and also a little higher level of protection like that. So let's say for example for this expense ratio score, I want to turn this into a function, the formula into a function. You can see that it's a bit long, even though not that long. So what I will do is I'll go to data and then click on named functions. And then when I do that, this particular sidebar will appear, and then I'll click on add new function. And when I do, I'll give the function a name. So I'll call this expense ratio, right? And then it asks me to give it a description. So I'll say calculate the expense ratio, right? So you can, of course, make it more descriptive than that as you like. So I'll go ahead and copy my formula, and then I'll come to this formula definition and put in my formula. And when I do, it will help me with the arguments in that formula. And if you can see, your arguments are those variables that the function we use to perform its tasks, right? So here we can see we have B5, B4. Those are the two variables we have there. So I'll click on the B5. It will ask me what B5 is. So I can give it a name to represent what it is. So my B5 is my total expenses. So I can name that total expenses, right? I will define that. And then the second one is B4. My B4 is total revenue. Yeah. And then I will define that as well. So once I'm done with this, you can see it has added the two arguments that we have. If you have more than that, you keep adding, right? So I'll click on next. And then the next page, it asks me to give a description of the two arguments that I have. So here for the it's just asking for additional details about them, although it's optional, but let me just add it, right? So argument description for total expenses, I can say maybe enter the total amount spent. How do I feel like that spent is not correct? The argument example, so I will give it the name, the same name for that, so that when the user sees that function, that's what they will be seeing in the brackets or parentheses. So expenses, and then the next one is the total revenue. Enter the amount hand, right? And then I'll call this total underscore revenue. You will see where these names, this particular one matters. So I'll click on create, and that has been created. So how do you use this? You come to wherever it is you want to use the formula, right? I'll delete what I have here first, right? So you see there is no formula in the formula bar anymore. So I'll click on equals, and then when I click on equals, I will search for the name of the formula I'm looking for. In this case, I'm looking for expense ratio, which is this named function. So you can see the description I gave it, calculate the expense ratio. So when I click on it, right, let me expand this. You can see other details of the function showing here. The example, the about, the formula definition, the each variable, right? And the description of each variable, all of that. So you can see that it takes two arguments, which is the total expenses and total revenue. So then I'll select the cell that represents each of these argument. So for the first one, which is total expenses, I'll click on this place, or I will just enter it. And then when I do that, I'll click on, or I will type comma, right, to show that I want to add another argument. So the next argument is the total revenue, which is this, right? And then when I'm done, I close the bracket and then I press enter. This should give me 30 because I think 30 was what, yes. So this gives 30. And you can see that the formula is shorter and cleaner, and the user is not distracted with a bunch of formulas or even make any mistake. So that's it. If you have any question about this, you can let me know.